Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel where we get comfy and we read fan fiction. All right. So, title No Strings Attached by wenclairfanpage. Summary: Bella was a young, smitten, a little naive, and struggling in her own home life. Alice was older, gorgeous, wealthy, and unpleasantly distant. How can they make it work with mountains disguised as hurdles constantly coming their way? Rating: T, but will probably go up to M later on. Chapter 1. Getting up from the most comfortable bed she'd ever slept on was not something Bella Swan was thinking she could accomplish. Like an undefeated mountain greater than Everest, it was too impossible for her to even attempt. So instead, she slammed her hand down on the phone, ringing out her annoying ass alarm, and buried her head back under the covers to shield her chocolate brown eyes from the sunlight streaming in through the window across the room. She grunted as her back popped and stretched out delightfully, undoing all the aches and pains, sighing contently as her legs shook before relaxing completely, sinking into the silk sheets with a sleepy, content smile across her lips. Her tousled hair splayed across the pillow, still catching the hint of light. It was only 7 in the morning in early June. The sun was up and ready, daring Bella to start her day. But she was not a strong soldier, and the musky scent of the bedding she was currently burying her face into was a much better option than stepping out into the cold. Time continued to tick past as she relaxed under the covers, breathing starting to even out. The delightful, soft hand of sleeping slowly encompassing her, wrapping around her, clearing her head of any conflicting thoughts. Bella, are you getting up? Fuck me sideways. With agonizing effort, she hauled back the covers to glare at the intruder through half lidded eyes. The intruder was leaning against the doorframe with a smirk across her lips. Short, black hair sticking out in all directions, a loose white shirt barely clinging onto her petite frame that reached midway between her thighs, but the most enticing thing of all was the 2 cups of coffee in her delicate hands. You can't stay here all day. Are you sure? Because I think I can. The petite woman chuckles and approaches the bed, setting the coffee onto the oak nightstand while sipping on her own slowly, a smile toying with the corner of her lips. School, Bella. You have school. Well, Alice, then you shouldn't have been so insistent on me spending the night if you knew in that big brain of yours that I'd have to be up early, Bella retorts with a soft laugh that had a hint of mocking. A pink hue covered Alice's cheeks, and she spent a few moments walking over to the large window that led out to the small balcony. The morning sun hitting her beautifully in all the right places, and Bella had an impossible time keeping her gaze on her face. She slowly raked her eyes over her body, from the soft curve of her neck, down the swell of her chest, which was peeking out through the shirt just enough to ache her core, to the small dip in her stomach just before her belly button, and down her long, long legs. She gulped and reached for the mug, anchoring her thoughts to the sensation of the heat touching her fingers as it wrapped around the ceramic texture. Alice's home was fairly glamorous. Not only did she have an ensuite and rather large walk in closet, there was a home office, a small painting studio, a newly renovated kitchenette and dining area, with a lounge for company and a private den living room with a roaring fireplace and plentiful bookshelves full of many tales. I have to get to the office in an hour. Can you be ready by then and I'll drop you off on my way through? The coffee's soon finished, and she crosses to the bed, placing the mug down and crawling forward to the half asleep brunette. Can you manage that? She mocks, before pressing her lips lightly against Bella's, who had trouble holding back her groan. Her tongue darted out immediately to taste the minty fresh scent on Alice's tongue, and she whined as the raven haired woman pulled away with an award winning smirk. Get dressed. Bella whines and collapses onto the mattress with a thump. You're evil. You love it, Alice winks, sending even more best to Bella's core, the mere action alone enough to spiral her thoughts. With a chuckle, Alice leaves the room, oblivious to this effect, stepping around the scattered clothes and gets herself dressed. In the meantime, Bella organizes her discarded clothes, blushing at the memory of them being hastily removed, and slowly pulls them on. She really should she really should keep some clothes here. This seems to be happening more frequent lately, and it wouldn't hurt to have spares, she wonders as she's pulling on her pants. Alice has the space. Maybe it wouldn't be too much to ask for her to clear some room? She ruffles her hair after pulling on her hoodie, the cup forgotten as she runs downstairs, searching for her bag in the den before crossing the large hallway to the open kitchen. Have you seen my bag? No, honey, I haven't. Did you bring it last night? I think so, Bella murmurs as she searches around the kitchen, even going so far as to open cupboards. Now, why would you have put it with the dishes? Uh, exactly. Check by the front door. It could be hung up, Alice says with a roll of her eyes and grabs her own things. Bella's bag was indeed hanging up, and she pulls it off the hook and checks over the contents. Case, charger, textbooks, notebook, all here. She zips it shut, slings it over her shoulder, and slips on her Converse awkwardly. Should I stop by later? Bella calls out. Alice comes into view looking incredibly sexy. A short pencil skirt clings to her hips, and a dark blue button up blouse does wonders for her curves and cleavage, accentuated by the black heels, making her legs look even longer, and a cute little clutch bag under her left arm that has a thin chain attached. You can't remember? I won't be here. I have a work function, she says whilst fishing in her bag for her house keys, smiling triumphantly as she pulls them out and swings them around her index finger a couple of times. Right, a work function, code word for adult things that she'll never be a part of. Bella ignores the sting of rejection and pushes the front door open, taking a couple seconds to wait for Alice to step out before continuing down the steps to her car, which was parked right in the street. It was black and sleek with gray leather interior. It looked like something Alice would drive. It's a short trip to her school, the radio humming softly in the background as they sit in comfortable silence. It was going to be a long, hot day, according to some Richard on the radio. Bella hoped he was wrong. He'd me at in her gym class, she'd be outside and sweating. Not something she was particularly fond of. She'd rather be in the gym, doing laps, fuck, even playing dodgeball. Anything to avoid the outdoors where she'll be ogled by other guys. She's only street away when she says hastily, "Remember, don't pull up at the gate." The raven-haired interrupts with a chuckle. I know. I'll pull over in a second. Let me just get past these lights." Alice rolls her eyes, but does just that. She finds a spot between two cars with enough room and pulls into it cleanly. Bella undoes her seatbelt and grabs her bag, which now felt like lead in her hands. There was a few beats of silence before Alice pipes up. "It was fun, last night." Bella looks over at her blushing face and smiles softly, though she can't help but feel a twinge of sadness now that it's over. She had to go back to school, her own life, her home, while Alice pretended like none of it even happened. Like she was something that could easily be discarded, and that didn't sit well. "Yeah, it was," Bella mumbles. Alice sighs and places a hand back on the steering wheel. "I'll text you when I'm available, Bella." Her tone was curt, a little strict, and Bella took the hint, meaning she wouldn't be texting first, vying for her attention anytime soon. A sudden pit forms in the brunette's stomach. That usually means they may not speak for a while. It's been nearly 3 months of this arrangement, so she thought she'd be getting used to the dismissals by now, but it still ached, and not in a good way. In an uncomfortable, gut wrenching, horrid way, because all she wanted was to spend more time around Alice, though that sadly wasn't possible. "Sure, sure," she coughs awkwardly and climbs out with a quick goodbye. She slams the door rather harshly and walks down the street to her school. Other students were about, a few smoking by the brick wall at the entrance. They weren't allowed to smoke on the school grounds, but 1 foot outside the gate and dumping their cigarettes on the trash can the other side of the wall? You bet. She's tempted to do so herself, but maybe getting to class and focusing on some homework would be the better option. She grips the bag strap tighter and walks past everyone, inhaling the scent of cigarette smoke and wishing she had the balls to stand out there with them. Usually she would, but right now she's too plagued with a sense of dread to be able to relax with them. And knowing Alice could see her in passing on the way to her work made her uncomfortable. She didn't even know if Alice was aware she smoked. It's not like she hid it. She usually has a pack in her bag. "Hey," someone called out to her. "Wait up." Bella stops in her tracks and turns to face her best friend, Angela Weber. They've known each other since they were in diapers, and she can't help the smile that was aching her cheeks. "Ooh, someone's looking good. You get some of what?" She elbows Angela's side and links arms. "Shut up, nerd. How's Eric?" Angela huffs and holds the door open for them to pass through, as well as some girl behind them. "He's fine, I think. We've been arguing lately. About what we're going to do after graduation." Ah, the dreaded, should we do long distance or breakup talk? Bella had never done long distance. Hell, the furthest partner she's had lived not even half an hour away during her freshman year. Separate schools, but still within walking distance. She couldn't imagine the feeling of having someone thousands of miles away after being so close. She rested her hand on Angela's shoulder and gave her a quick squeeze. "I'm sorry, babe. I hope it works out for you." Me too, Bellatron. Bella, what? She chuckles, and with nothing else needed to be said, she walks to her first class of the day, thoughts of Alice slowly leaving her head for now. I very much enjoyed that. I thought that it was pretty well written. There were some few grammatical errors, but that can always be fixed. I thought it was incredibly interesting, the dynamic of Bella and Alice. It doesn't sound like this is going to be vampire-y. Simply humans, which obviously is fine. But I went into it assuming it might be more of a vampire uh, kind of supernatural effect, but it does just seem more slice of life smutty, which no complaints here. There was a part, let's see. Yeah, the part that really made me realize that this wasn't going to be like a vampire supernatural was the coffee. As any other Twihards know, um, Cullen's vampires don't eat or drink. So when I was reading that she had 2 cups of coffee, I was like, okay, so she's human. I think that was a good way to introduce that this is more of a human interaction, and it's not in the Twilight universe, it's the Twilight characters. I do love those types of fictions, don't get me wrong. I just the summary kind of made me think that it might be more supernatural, like more vampirism, but no complaints. In the summary, it does mention that there is an age gap, which is one thing that I was reading. I was like, is she still in high school? I'm hoping Bella's 18. It sounds like she is. So we're just gonna go with that. Again, fan fiction, there can be a little bit of the taboo subjects and stuff like that. But again, grain of salt. On that line, as far as age gaps go, I do not read anything when they aren't 18. Overall, I thought it was very well written. I will definitely be following this one. I thought it was super interesting that Angela is her best friend from diapers, and that we haven't been introduced to Jessica yet, or not. I despise Jessica, so I'm really happy that it was Angela. Angela is such a good character in Twilight. She's just very sweet. She's a small character, but I like it. I love Angela and Eric's dynamic. Um, Apart from Eric in Twilight being super kind of into Bella, but I mean that was their whole thing, I guess. Was she was the new girl, and being the new girl got the attention from the other guys. And in the fiction, where she mentioned that she didn't want to be ogled by other guys, so that that shows that she's super attracted. I just wonder if her being ogled by other guys, is it because she's attractive or because she's new in town? There's still a lot to explore, but overall I found this to be very intriguing. I especially love Alice. There were some things that it just it Alice, in the summary, Alice was older, gorgeous, wealthy, and unpleasantly distant. Um, how can they make it work? So it seems that, this is a friends with benefits situation. I cannot wait to see how this started. Um, this was a great introduction into their dynamic, but in some points of the text, Alice was blushing, and Alice kind of seemed like she wanted more, but then would just shut off. So is that an emotional shut off, or is she simply, turned off by Bella wanting more? I am really excited. I will be following this one closely. If they bring out another chapter, possibly we'll read that as well, and maybe we'll make this. I really enjoyed this. This is obviously my first video on this channel, so things may change, things may grow, just kind of depending on what happens and what we're doing here. I really enjoyed this, and so yeah, if there are any fan fictions that you would like me to read, please put them down in the comments below. If they're your own personal fan fictions, I would definitely love to do that. I'm constantly, you know, reading fan fictions, doing that. I'm a huge nerd, see from my posters.
My main ones, I love Twilight, Supernatural, Doctor Who, Criminal Minds. I especially do love fan fictions that are still in the universe. Those are my personal favorite. But again, I love slice of life ones where they just utilize the characters. I find it to be where you don't have to spend half the time, introducing the characters and who they are and like their personalities more. Not necessarily who they are, because in those ones, their life changed, but their personalities stayed the same, and that's why you use those characters. So I definitely enjoy those, but I especially love fan fictions that stay within the universe. So if you have any of those, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, we'll just try and go through, read a chapter of fan fiction, and we can discuss. If you have any comments, I will respond to all of them, and we can discuss more in depth. So, yeah, thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.